There's a point in every failure where you realize you failed, sometimes very expensively. Ran out of gloves today. This is that point. We failed. So I took the night to just rest and calm down. So I feel a little bit better now. Good news, bad news. Good news is, as you can see, the mold released like it was supposed to, which is great. That means that the one part that I did do right was prep. So putting on the wax and the PVA and everything, it worked like it was supposed to. So what issues did I have? Well, huge waste of resin, which is a bummer because resin's expensive. So I decided last night that this is okay, that I'm trying to learn something new. When you're trying to learn something new, you're gonna mess up and it's gonna cost you money. That's just how it goes. That's the process of learning. So it's fine. So the good part is that it did pull off. I can do this again and be okay. A few things that I messed up. I did not mix my gel coat enough, so it didn't harden all the way in several places. I did not get the right kind of fiberglass mat. So the first kind that I used, the thinner one, is the one, basically I wanted a thin layer and then 2 thick layers, and the thin layer that I got should have been my thick layer, and I should have gotten 1 step thinner, basically like a veil, fiberglass matte veil, instead of what I did get. What I did get was very thick fiberglass, and probably would have been okay if I had gotten chopped strand, but instead I got continuous strand. Now you don't really have to know what that means. All you need to know is that because it was continuous strand, I could not get it to lay down over a lot of the complex curves, and it caused me a lot of issues. Now it wasn't on purpose. I ordered that by accident, but I'll never make that mistake again. So I still have the materials I need to be able to produce this mold. I think I may run out before I start trying to pull parts. We'll see, but we can always order some more. But this mold, I've got to clean it off. I've got to do some sanding and some working on it to get it ready to be pulled again. So I'm gonna move this one out of the way and we'll work on the other side while I'm kind of sorting out this bodywork. I'll show you the mold that we made. And considering everything, it actually does not look that bad. So this is the mold. Now I haven't trimmed it, so that part does look bad. But overall, the surface is really good. It's really smooth. The blue is the actual mold. The rest of it's just scrap that I didn't trim because I was just angry last night. So it did come out okay, but it's not rigid enough. And like I said, I had some issues with the gel coat. So we're just gonna redo it. I think that's fine. So that one is trash. So what we're gonna do next is pull the other fender in here. This time I'm gonna do what I should have done last time. I'm not really sure why I didn't. And I'm going to mold the headlight bucket first because it's smaller, a little bit more manageable. I don't see any reason we should have issue with that. And then we'll move into the big piece. Moving right along. This has been an eventful video so far. Let's try again. So for whatever reason, this part does not want to be made. 1 second. All right. I promise I've used fiberglass before, but we just keep running into issues. I came out here this morning, it's real early, but I came out here this morning to pull the clay off and trim this and start prepping my other side, and fiberglass is still soft. So I did some reading. It turns out below 60 degrees, fiberglass won't cure. And so this did not cure. It didn't get hot enough to cure, which is unfortunate. So I'm going to try to save it by using this little heater, hopefully getting it up to temperature. I did, for those that are concerned or that know, I did use 2% of the MEK measured out by a scale, plenty of resin, all that stuff. So it just doesn't want to be made. I don't understand. I've been using fiberglass for like 15 years, which is crazy. And I've never had these kinds of issues, but man, this part is unhappy about becoming a thing. All right, so I've got more fiberglass rollers coming. The ones that I was using got resin in them and hardened. All right, we'll check back in a minute. Oh man, I hope this works. All right, so I kicked it with a heat gun. Basically just went over the whole thing, and it's dry, pretty much. So what we're gonna do next is just trim this off. Hopefully it'll just trim. All right. This comes off. The top flange up here does not feel very happy. All of this is wet. That's, oh no. Man, I just cannot win with this thing. The gel coat didn't cure. Why did the gel coat not cure? Oh, jeez. This is just, I guess temperature maybe. Maybe it was a temperature thing too. Man, what a bummer, man. This has just seriously been a bummer of a process. All right, well, the gel coat didn't cure. I'm hoping that maybe, I don't know, maybe it won't matter. I just need to keep moving. I think this is really trying to stay encouraged here. But man, that's frustrating. So I wonder if that means the gel coat didn't cure anywhere. God, dog. Frustrating. Frustrating. Man, that's frustrating. All right. I'm mixing the gel coat with a drill, which I think is a mistake. I don't think it's mixing, or maybe my mixer is too thick or something, I don't know. But I'm gonna mix it by hand on the next batch. We're gonna heat this up and hope that it kicks. So far, this has been 100% as frustrating as I expected it to be. I've had people for years asking me to do this process, and I have no doubt that it will be better once I learn it and get better at it and work out all the kinks. Doing it in the cold is obviously an issue. I wish I was doing this in the middle of summer. But either way, there's a lot of steps. There's a lot of problems that can arise, and everything is very expensive, and that's why I haven't been doing it this way. But hopefully we can figure it out, and that will mean faster part production and better part quality, which is what we need, I think, as a channel. It's just a frustrating process. If you're wondering how I learn stuff, this is how. This is how. All right. Standing really far away because this is putting off some serious fumes. Now, worst case scenario would be all the gel coat is still wet, which is likely. If that's the case, when we go to pull this off, basically all of our work will be wasted. But the best case is that it does cure, and we're able to pull a mold and actually make a part, and this whole week wasn't just wasted. So far, I'm on day 4, so to give you some perspective, I normally spend about 2 days on a video. This is day 4. I had to start another video so that I'd have some content for you guys. And on day 4, I still don't know if I'm going to be able to, I don't know if I'm going to be able to make a part. So, I know I'm ranting a little bit, but I'm pretty frustrated. I really just want this to be over. Okay, I've done some work since the last time we spoke, and I'm feeling much better about this whole process. I did a little bit more research. I feel like I've been doing research for weeks. But basically, I don't think I was leaving the gel coat to dry long enough. Now it is dry. It's tacky in some places, but it's not coming off my fingers, which is really good. So I think that's good. I left it basically for like 9 or 10 hours to let it just dry out. And it looks okay. Now, I did use probably too much of that silica stuff, so we'll keep working on that and trying to get a good ratio figured out for that stuff. I've got my fiberglass pre-cut, and we're ready to try and make a mold. Now, the way this is working, in case you don't know, or if I haven't talked about it, I don't know, this has taken a really long time. Basically, I made this first piece with the piece up so that the fiberglass would lay down like I needed it to. Now we're flipping it on its side, make the second piece. These two pieces will bolt together when I make the final mold, and it's gonna make it a much stronger part, I hope. I did not have my rollers on this first piece because they froze up with resin. I got new rollers for this new piece, so pretty excited about that. And I think that's it. So we're gonna go back to mixing some resin. I'm actually almost out because of the mistake I made with the first fender, so I've got to order some more of that, which is great. And then I'm gonna have to order some more cloth as well. But we're learning. This went better than that. That went better than the first one. So hopefully by mold 4 or 5, I'll have a good idea of what I'm doing. And it'll actually work. Now, the big question here is when I pull this off, is it even going to function? I don't know. So I'm just kind of very hopeful, and this is the way I like to learn, even though it seems like it's kind of torture for myself. But this is a fast way to learn. It's an expensive way to learn, but it's a fast way to learn. So yeah, we're gonna go fiberglass resin over the whole thing, cloth, resin, cloth, and then let it dry for a long time. It's pretty warm today, which is awesome, so it's actually gonna cure on its own, which is great. And yeah, we should be good to go. Wish me luck. Alright, there we go. 3 layers. It looks much better than this one did. Now we just wait and hopefully this makes something. Okay, so it just so happened that, excuse me, it just so happened that I had to go out of town, so I left this for several days just to sit and to cure, to be good. So I'm hoping that everything went right. I feel really confident about this piece. I feel mildly confident about this front piece, but I do feel like this would probably work. And I think this is gonna work enough for us to at least be able to pull a mold out of it and just get through the whole process so we can continue to kind of refine it. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna take this out of here because I'm fixing to respray my wheels, which you may have seen in yesterday's video or you'll see it in tomorrow's video. But I've got to respray those wheels, so I'm getting ready to do that. I'm gonna pull this out so I can work on this while those are getting resprayed. We gotta trim it up and then we gotta pop the mold apart, all that fun stuff. Hopefully it's not stuck to the table. Just a little bit. Just a little bit stuck to the table. Okay, a lot of it stuck to the table. What's up guys, today's video is brought to you by Built Official. That's me, it's him. We have a new merch store with completely new redesigned merch on builtofficial.com, and we're having a big sale from now until 12 a.m. tomorrow night. So say you're a fan of the MR2, well, we have the MR2T. Maybe the Audi's more your style? Well, we've got an Audi T as well, but maybe you're into classic JDM stuff. This one is actually not mine, it's way too small. This is the Corolla T. This is what an extra small looks like on someone who wears a medium. On top of that, we've got the Mount NSX hat, which is the hat that you guys have been seeing me wear on the channel. You can see it looks like a mountain, but it's actually the outline of an NSX. Very sick. And I got some brand new designs that I'm releasing just for Cyber Monday. So I've got 2 old designs that we're bringing back, the Work Hard t-shirt and the RPF 1T. And for today and Cyber Monday only, we designed a Glitch Built logo hoodie. So head over to the Built store, use the code CYBER or click the link below and get a discount on your entire purchase. Back to the video. Okay. I'm going to drill a couple of holes. So these are going to allow me to line this piece back up when I'm producing the part. Whoops. Do one more. So basically what I thought was gonna happen is exactly what happened. The gel coat did not cure in all places. And so like places like this feel really good. They don't look great on camera. You can see my brush strokes and stuff, but you can't actually feel them. So that's cool. But as you can tell, this is actually not very good. Once again, I don't think that I think there's several issues. This one I did not have rollers for because my rollers broke or messed up before I got to this or when I was getting to this. So the lamination isn't great, but the strength is there. There's just a lot of defects, and the gel coat like that is still wet. Where it actually cured is pretty good, and I think we could use it, but where it's wet, obviously, is not very good. But yeah, I'm thinking that this stuff needs to just be thicker, because where it was thicker, it dried all the way. I'm gonna ask some friends that do fiberglass on Instagram and see if that's the case, how to build it up thicker, all that cool stuff. But this one doesn't look very good. I expect this one to look better, still not perfect, but better. But I've got to decide now, do I remake this piece again? Lay gel coat on thicker and do that and make the flange and all that stuff? Or do I try to repair what I've got? And everything that I've learned to this point says that remaking the piece is going to be easier than trying to repair this. I'm going to do some messaging, asking some questions, and then that'll help me decide if I need to pull this thing off or leave it and rebuild this piece. On the bright side though, we got another clean release that was really easy to get the part off. So I think that part I'm doing okay. It's just the rest. It's really, I think it's just the gel coat. I've never really used gel coat like this before, and it's starting to show. All right, so I know this place is a wreck. This always happens when I do multiple projects at one time. It is what it is. I'll clean it up for you guys that are OCD. It will get clean, don't worry, but not right now. I've decided that I'm gonna keep moving, and I know this might stress some people out that are perfectionists, but I am not that. But I do want to keep moving. I want to build a part out of this and just see what happens. It may be wasteful, it may be worthless, but I think I need to see it and I need to know. I think it's going to help me learn what I'm doing. So I'm going to pull this off. We'll wash the PVA out, and then we're going to prep it to lay parts in. That looks better. That looks better. Better is better. That does look better. Okay, so now these will go together like this, and we will have a part. I've obviously got to do a little bit more trimming, which isn't that big of a deal. Then we've got to wash all the PVA off to reapply. Yeah, that goes just like that. But this way we can lay one up on this side with it down so the fiberglass doesn't fall away. And then as it starts to tack and dry, stick everything together, lay in a patch right here so that it's all one piece, chemically bonded, and we'll have one piece and we won't have to deal with gravity pulling everything away. So I feel pretty good about that. I've got to figure out what I'm going to do about this this wet gel coat. Probably clean it with acetone and just roll with it. Worst that could happen, I don't know. I guess we're going to find out in this video. She said I could make you crescent rolls and cinnamon rolls for dinner?
Yeah.
You see this thing Daddy made?
Oh,
What do you think about it?
that looks like a big, giant car monster truck.
Big giant car monster truck? That's what I was thinking. Looks perfect, doesn't it?
And that blue piece over there looks like a small car piece.
It is a small, you're pretty much right there.
This looks like a monster truck car piece.
Yeah, it pretty much
This
is.
looks like a little car piece. Let's go cook cinnamon rolls and crescent rolls.
All right, we're gonna go cook cinnamon rolls and crescent rolls. Before that, I wanna show them this close up, okay?
Okay.
So, you can see I've got some brush marks in here, which is not ideal. I don't know how to fix that, so if you know, let me know. Actually, if you have fiberglassing tips, I'm all ears. Just send them to me, but email them to me.
You!
Oh, cool. Email them to
You
me
see me too?
in a minute. Email them to me because all the
I see
messages
you.
and comments and Instagram and everything, it's hard to keep up with. So email me some tips. Videos are super helpful for me, particularly.
Do you see me
And,
in the
we'll keep
other
going.
screen
But this feels pretty great, actually. I feel like this is how it's supposed to feel. When you get over here, I've got some spots, like this is a soft spot, which is weird. Got some more, this is all soft spots. So where it's pulled away, the gel coat was still soft. Now, this one I laid on much thicker and I let it dry overnight. So I'm thinking maybe not mixing it enough is causing that. I don't know, I'm measuring everything out.
Peekaboo.
Peekaboo. I'm measuring everything out on a scale, so I feel like it should be right, but who knows? I don't. So, all right, so next thing we're gonna wash these things off. Can I have that back?
No, I'm holding.
And we will lay on our... Yuck. We'll lay on our... where's ready? Parting gel coat, which is gonna be black, so the parts will be black, and then from there we'll have some parts so we can layer. I can't even concentrate right now. All right, we'll see you in a second. Yeah, I see.
Oh, my shoes don't got me.
Where are they? Over here? Come on.
Yeah.
I will say that after trimming this up, this does look much better. Now, it's still not great, and we're still gonna have a decent amount of body working to do on the finished product, assuming we can make a finished product. But it does look better after being trimmed. It is too cold to get you to take your clothes off, but you're gonna get cold and sick. I know, winter's no fun. All right, so I've got this thing set up in a way where I can do basically the whole thing in one go. So I've got it like tilted at the perfect angle where there's no overhangs. The closest thing we have is this edge right here and then this right here, which are both vertical, and the fiberglass should stick to that no problem. So when I went over the whole thing with wax, went over the whole thing with PVA, I actually put some clay in here in this seam between the two molds where they bolt together, just to kind of make that transition a little bit smoother, and it's ready to go. Now I'm going to use black gel coat for this, and the reason for tinting it is just so I can see what I'm doing. Now what I'm going to do differently this time, which you can see this gel coat actually hardened really well. That's out of the cup. But what I'm going to do this time is mix in the tint and the thickening agent first, and then mix in my catalyst. I think the problem was I was doing it in the wrong order. So I'm going to try that this time and see how that goes. Before I do that though, I'm going to take a hot glue gun and we're just going to glue down this thing to all these little, I've got like a box and a can and a cup over here. I'm going to glue them all down to the mold so the mold doesn't want to move while I'm making this part, because it really is kind of balanced in this area, or this orientation I guess is the right word, and I don't want it to shift, because if it does shift it's not going to work. Glue gun. I have an animal living in here. Somebody said I need to get a nicer paint booth, and I agree, but for now, this is what we got. We have to deal with animals. All right, I'm gonna let this glue dry while we mix up the black gel coat. Whoa, that went black real fast. So we're gonna mix each thing individually, ending with the MEKP. That's when I'll put the respirator on everything. You guys won't be able to hear me as well, so that's what I'm telling you now. We'll make sure this is mixed in really well. Now I may try doing this without thickening this stuff. It's pretty thick. I mean, it's not, I don't know if it's technically a brushable gel coat. It's definitely not sprayable because it's too thick to be, well, I don't know. Maybe I'll just spray that through something. Throw a little bit of this in, but not nearly as much as we've been using. Okay, we are down to the final stage of this terribly long and drawn out process. It's been a definite learning curve. I'm feeling more comfortable about the mold making aspect, but I've never pulled a part out of a mold, and I hope that I did it right this time, because if not, it's going to be very frustrating. But I'm posting this video either way. So even if we fail at this, you guys will get to see it, and you'll get to see me get frustrated. A lot of people doing videos like this, like send me messages like, don't get discouraged, it's going to be okay, just keep going. And I plan on keep going. I'm not discouraged. Don't mistake frustration for discouragement. But I will be. You will see me frustrated if we do this part and it doesn't like make for some reason. I will be so frustrated. So anyway, what we're gonna do is pretty much what we've been doing. We laid down some wax. We laid down our PVA release agent. We laid down a coat of gel coat. This time with the gel coat, I mixed the fumed silica and the tint before weighing and mixing in the catalyst, and that seems to have worked. It's a much more even coat, and everything is hard. There's no like gummy or sticky places. It's a little bit tacky still, which is good. I got a little bit worried because it has been a while since we did this, like a day and a half. And but it is tacky, which is great. Not coming off of my gloves, which the internet says is supposed to be it. I've cut out all of my fiberglass beforehand. It's on the back, on the truck back here. This truck is a new build. I'm working on getting sponsors for. So I contacted a few sponsors. I need basically wheels. I think we've got a tire sponsor locked down, and then some body work. So I'm working on the wheels and the body work, guys, and then as soon as we get those, we'll start into that. But that's a side note. Right now, it's just a table. We're going to cover the whole thing in resin. We're going to do 3 layers of fiberglass. It should be about 3 millimeters thick, I think, maybe a little bit thicker. I had to go buy fiberglass from Walmart because the supplier that I use, I don't know if they're shipping slower, like during the Thanksgiving week or whatever, but it just didn't get here. So I had to keep moving. So I'm using Walmart glass and Walmart resin, which is a little bit concerning, but it's going to work. It's just not quite as easy to work with. What else? I think that's it. So I'm going to put this on like a time lapse because I'm not going to be able to like move the camera around. I'm going to have fiberglass and resin all over my hands. I did get gloves, which is great. So I'm just going to set it on time lapse. You guys can watch me lay this part up, and I'll come back to you when we're done. Let's do it. It's a little bit stressful. All right, so we hopefully made a part. Now, like I said, I did have to use the Walmart resin and the Walmart fabric, and there were 2 things I noticed. One, the Walmart fabric was a little bit thicker, so the wet out didn't go as quickly, meaning it took longer and a lot more resin to wet the entire fabric out, which was an issue, because as you build up resin, you also build up some heat, and as you build up heat, the fender cures faster. So I made it through the first 2 layers pretty well. The 3rd layer started to bubble up, and when I went to roll it out, some of the bubbles had gotten hard. So that's what you saw, those kind of raised portions. I hadn't rolled it out yet, and by the time I rolled it out,
it was already hardened. But it's in the final layer. It's already thicker than it would be with what I normally would use. So I think it's gonna be okay. Worst case scenario, I cut those bubbles out and then put some fiberglass reinforcement back there behind them and just mechanically bond it. But everything else seemed like it went pretty smoothly. Just the curing was the issue. And then that resin, it's cheaper. It's like $40 a gallon as opposed to like $60 a gallon is what I pay for my higher end stuff. But it's a lot thicker and that keeps it from wetting out as fast. And it's not great for part production. And I understand that now. I didn't understand why it was so much cheaper before. I think that's a lot. It's just too thick to really crank parts out quickly, and it's hard to have control over your heat and all that crazy stuff. But the part is made. It's getting hard, which is good. It means we mixed it up right. And I think I'm gonna let it dry all the way like overnight and then try to pull it out tomorrow. And hopefully, if everything went well, we'll have something that looks somewhat like a part. I'm not expecting it to look great, but hopefully it looks like something and it doesn't just like fall apart. I don't know. Who knows? I'll see you tomorrow. Alright, so you might be thinking this is a lot of work and excess material just to get one part. I mean, we have effectively 3 parts here, but there is a reason. There's actually 2 reasons. The first is this. We'll pull up our plug. Now, I could have finished this out and painted it, and it probably would have been fine, but if you look back here, you can see this thing's made of 4 different pieces. You've got the 2 pieces over here to make the rear fender spot, or rear fender pieces. You've got the original fender I started with off of the Porsche 911, and then you've got that front headlight bucket that I made. Now, other than it just being heavy, I mean, this is probably about 10 pounds. It's not, there's a lot of fail points, a lot of places where over time as stuff shrinks and moves and heats up and gets cold, these things are gonna break or crack, or they could anyway, and that requires more repair. So that's an issue for me. It feels very fragile. I'm scared to kind of drop this thing. Move to this. The second reason you do this is because if you do this correctly, which I didn't, I got close, but if you do it properly, if you do it correctly, you have a mold that you can pull several parts out of. Now, depending on how you build the mold, you could pull up to 100 parts out of them. For me, I'm probably always going to be pulling like 4 or 5. The goal is to be able to build kits. This is not going to be one of them, at least not in its current form, because I just want to be able to produce something that you guys can slap on your car and go drive. But you can pull multiples so you can have backups and all that other cool stuff. So that's the reason that is beneficial. Now the last reason is kind of similar to the first. Now we have this fender, this huge piece, and it's all one fiberglass piece. Now, other than it being much stronger this way, it is a lot lighter. This piece probably weighs half of what that other piece weighs, maybe even less, and they're made out of the same material. This one's just made smarter. So it does make a lot of sense to have this part in terms of just reliability, in terms of lightness, in terms of strength, integrity, flexibility. Everything is better when it's made out of a single piece of fiberglass. And the best part is you pull it out of the mold and it just fit. I'm not actually mad. This didn't fit, and I knew it because I tried it before I started the camera, and I'll explain why, but you gotta come a little bit closer. Now you will notice it did take that drop like a champ. That's another benefit to this being one solid piece of fiberglass, is it's gonna take a lot more impact than it being grafted together. So this fits really well on the back. When you get to the headlight, we've got some issues here that need to be trimmed out, but the headlight bucket actually goes out this way instead of wrapping around and tying in down there. Now there's a few issues that caused that. I think the main one was that when I bolted this together and flipped it up on its face, the headlight bucket, the weight just kind of pulled this way, so it led to a headlight bucket that goes outwards instead of wrapping around the headlight. And then there's some stuff in the way. So originally I wasn't gonna mess with this in this video, but I think if I trim this, we're gonna be able to get this to fit. So I'm gonna try that really quickly. Here's a major downside to fiberglass. It makes so much dust. So yeah, I definitely think that we could get this to go. Now we've got to do some more trimming out here, which is fine, but you can see it'll bend into shape, which is great. I thought I was gonna have to end this video with a busted part, so this is awesome. I actually already filmed one intro where I said I was gonna have to cut it apart and like move it and re-glass it, and then I did some testing. I was like, wait a second, this is gonna work, and I think it is gonna work, which is pretty great. So yeah, we'll have to trim this and kind of fit it and get it to work with our headlight bucket. That's too far. Is it like this? Yeah, I think that's it. But something like that. It's gonna be great. All right, so that is where we are going to end this video. Now, we didn't make a perfect part, but we did make a part, and I'm really happy about that. I probably could have chosen an easier project to learn how to make fiberglass molds on, but it is what it is. We did something, and I think it looks pretty good considering everything we went through. I'm very proud to have this single piece of fiberglass, this custom fender. It's awesome. Anyway, I'm gonna do the rest of the front, the other side of the other fender, and the front bumper, which are sitting right over there. And we'll do those in a future video, but I'm gonna be working on them on the background, in the background, because it takes so long to like wait on cure times and all that other stuff that it's just gonna take too long. And I've already shown you guys what those look like, so it's not that exciting to watch. I'm just producing now. So we'll do that in the background, and I'll release a video with the whole front end kind of put together. So what that means is next week we move to the rear. If you didn't see yesterday's video, go check it out. I built 13-inch wide wheels, and I Googled it, and that's the same width on a Lamborghini Aventador, which is pretty cool. This is not that, but at least the wheels are the same width. And it does look that wide. Like, imagine how wide you think it might be. It's that wide, maybe a little bit wider, and we're gonna be building a body kit around those next weekend. I'm very excited to show you guys that. The whole build was based on those wheels and that width, so I'm very, very excited to show it to you guys. It's gonna be awesome. So you don't wanna miss it. 11 a.m. CST on Saturday and Sunday next week. We're gonna be moving to the back of this car and building that out and really fleshing out the rest of this design. Thank you guys so much for watching. I'll see you in the next one.